Taken, and many of us are on the road today. So we want this to flow as organically as possible, and each of our panelists and you included to be yourself and bring what we each have individually to the table. So there are opportunities, as I mentioned before, for you to ask questions towards the end, and you can submit some using the QR codes, one behind my head, and I'll move in some on the sides as well. So please use that as you see fit. We're going to run for about, I don't know, time allows, probably about an hour or so with these seven folk that we have here. We want to take a moment now to thank our sponsors for the evening, the Crane team of Fairway Independent Mortgage, and Pratt of Reese Title on the far end. They're our sponsors of the evening. So we want to hope that you get their information and use their business for mortgage loans and for title work going forward. Again, we are here. We're actually our panelists. We're going to ask them to introduce ourselves in just a minute to introduce themselves, and we're going to be ourselves. We're going to try to have some fun as much as possible. Me, I am a realtor, obviously, but I'm also a preacher. So I'm going to be myself. So that means if I tell you to say amen, just tell you to talk to your neighbor, just oblige. Because again, we're being ourselves. So we're going to start with letting our panelists introduce themselves about when they started in business, their brokerage, whatever they care to share. And we can start with Monica.
Hello, and this isn't working. Back off that. Thank you.
I hear you.
Okay, hello? Oh, but I can talk now. Hi, everyone. Seriously, y'all not gonna come up front. We don't like. I am Monica Truesdale. I am the broker owner Realty Rock of Universal. Thank y'all. I have been a licensed real estate professional for 20 years. I've had my broker's license for 7 years. And yeah, that's me. And we'll get to know each other a little bit later.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Wayne Davis. I'm the broker owner of United Real Estate Executives in Owens Mills, Maryland. Like Monica, I've been around for a while. I've been licensed for 26 years. And, I guess I like this industry. So, that's pretty much what I have to say about that. And I'm just happy to be here to see a lot of these people in this room, because when I first started in this business, it didn't look like this, and I'm glad that we have a lot of young people that's in the business as well that can, they want to stay in the business.
Hello, everybody. My name is Eric Clash. I have been in the business going on 22 years. I started off as an investor, and I've been licensed as a realtor almost 11 years. Same as Wayne. I'm kind of glad that we could bring this together for a lot of reasons, and I'm sure we'll indulge later into this. But this is a good thing, and I think we should do more of this kind of stuff, especially us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Will Featherstone, broker owner of Featherstone and Company. I've been in the business for about 15 years, licensed 12 years. Similar to Eric, I started as an investor. Just got tired of waiting on agents, got my license, and kind of snowballed from there. Over my career, I've probably sold about 120 million worth of real estate. I'm just happy to be here for some of the same reasons that they spoke about prior. We've all had private conversations about the change that needs to happen in and around Baltimore and in the industry. So I'm excited to be here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tiffany Dominies. I'm with Executive Home Realty. I will be licensed 20 years next year in 2023. I started back when, I don't even know how I got started, but this is where I am, and I love what I do. I love working with investors, and again, to piggyback on what everyone said, we did this for you guys. So this is a room that just warms my heart to see all of our faces. And again, when I came into business, it wasn't a bunch of us, you know what I mean? At least from what I can see in Baltimore City. So I'm looking at some of the familiar faces. I don't have my glasses, so I can't see that good. But I can see your shapes. And basically, basically, I'm just happy and elated to see you guys here. We'll dig deeper a little later.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Malcolm Crane, producer branch manager at Fairway Independent Mortgage. I feel like a baby here compared to some of these people. But been in the mortgage business 14 years. Just want to make homeownership a reality for everybody, especially our people. So excited about this event, and hopefully we can keep doing this.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pratt, and I started in the business around 2000. I started doing mortgages, and then I switched over in about '04 and got my title producer's license. I have a settlement company, which we cover settlements all over the U.S., and I'm an account exec at Reese Title. And I'm happy to be here. I'm also an investor, do a little hard money lending, and I'm happy to see everyone here. Thank you all for coming out. Again, thank you for the panel of experts we have, and looking forward to talking to you guys more.
All right, thank you all. We want to get started with some of our questions. So I think one question, since many of you gave us how long you've been in the game, some close to my age, but we're not talking about that. With many people sitting in front of you have been in the in business 5 years, 3 years, or even less than that. So which anyone can answer in the order that they see fit. What is one piece of advice that you would give to a newer agent?
So let me start with this. So today, and I shared some of you guys this. So today I got a call from an agent that is, I would think, is somewhat seasoned. And that agent was calling me, asking me how the market is and what my feel is on the market. And asking me how business was for me. And then I turned the question and said, how's business for you? And they were saying that things were slowing up, and that they were kind of willing to hang their license. And I told them that's not the right thing to do. You can't quit. You cannot quit. Me and Wayne just sat here and said this. Most people will fail in this business because it gets slow and they will quit. When a storm is coming, you run through the storm. You don't run away from the storm. So it's going to be a lot of, as this market, none of us can really predict where the market is going to be. We can only assume where it may be. But as it gets down a little bit of low, you got to get low with it. You got to market more. You got to get on social media more. You got to do more advertising. You got to go back into your database. You got to build relationships. I'm telling you, the currency is relationships. It ain't money. The currency is relationships. All of us on this panel have relationships. I can call on any one of these people on this panel, and some of you people in this audience, and ask for help, things, deals, whatever it may be. That's what's going to get you through this. So my point to any of the new agents, and not just new agents, seasoned agents, because we all get tired of this, but when it's good, it's good. But now it's getting a little rough. But you cannot run from this. You got to stay a course. And as it get a little rough, just dig a little deeper. Because I'm telling you, when we get out of this and it's on the other side, those people that quit, those people that couldn't handle it for whatever reason, you're going to see those agents, us, still here. I mean, all of us been in this business long enough to can tell you that we already went through the 08, the 09. So we speaking from experience. We're not just talking, like we're not just making this up yesterday. Some people might have gotten this business, 2 years ago and the market was like this. That wasn't real, bottom line. So my advice is stay a course, don't quit.
All right, and actually just to piggyback on that, so you got to keep in mind that we're in a necessity business. So everyone needs a roof over their head, whether it's a rental, whether it's a purchase or things like that. So you have to understand that you've become the voice of reason. You become that sounding board. You're the one that actually have to help people get into that property. I always tell people, like I just had a conversation with a buyer earlier today. They were talking about the interest rates. I said, it's all relative. You can pay 6% down and we can negotiate the price, get seller contribution, or last year you're gonna pay 3%, but $50,000 more for the house as is. So it all breaks down to the same thing. And here's the other thing. you know, you have to understand and let people know, and this is where the educational part comes into play, you know, from the financing to everything, even, you know, financial literacy piece. Owning is better than renting. Rent is guaranteed to go up every year, forever, and you get nothing for it. You know, a mortgage, I don't care if it's 10%, you can prepay it, there's no prepayment penalty, you can avoid a lot of that interest, and it's a term loan. So that's the whole thing about it. And then, you know, as far as we're concerned, you know, if you guys leave the business, that's more business for us. You know, to be honest with you, I'm serious. I can't tell you how many times this year I've had clients call me and say, you know, I wanted to use you, but my sister, my brother, my cousin, they got their license, so I have to use them, but they're still calling me, asking me questions. So there's I lost a lot of business, you know, and I get it, I understand. And I like a normal market, you know, like you said, last 2 years, that was not normal. This is normal. This is where you have to start working and earning your paycheck. You know, as a realtor, you are a sales and marketing person. So you have to sell the property, not yourself. So, you know, I look on Instagram and social media, I can see what everybody has on, what they eat for lunch, what they're driving, but no house.
Exactly.
You know, which is crazy.
And that's a good point, Wayne, that, you know, the last 2 years, if you look over our history, you will never see 2% again. People, you walk those people to the door and they automatically bought the home. It's never gonna happen again. When I got into business, rates were 10%. I bought my first home at 8.5 in '99. So you can forget about it. Yes, just like when you were on Instagram and Facebook with Gucci and hey, I got this deal, now you gotta work for it. This is a real estate purge. And just like Wayne just stated, unfortunately, some of you are gonna be gone. And that's just the way it is. It's no sugarcoating it. You gotta work it. You got the skills. You call yourself a realtor, we call ourselves lenders, title company, marketers, whatever. We gotta use the skills. Now we gotta get out there. You can't sweat. Look, and not to get religious, listen, when Jesus was walking on the water, he told Peter, come on. Peter started walking. And then what happened? Peter started to sink because he took his eyes off the water. He took his eyes off. He started looking at the storm. Don't take it. Listen, walk through the storm, as Eric stated. You got this. You can handle it.
And so to piggyback off of everything they just said, they said persevere. They said stay in the industry, don't quit. But you have to know how to not be able to quit. And some of the key things to do is, you know, I speak to some of the agents at my office and I'm like, this is the most money you guys have ever made. You have to save it. So I always say, when starting your business, once you get a real estate license, you become an entrepreneur. You're an independent contractor, so you have to act and work like a business owner. So what do you do when you start a business? You have to have a business plan. If you don't have a business plan, then you plan to fail. You have to have a business plan. You have to know your numbers. You have to create a budget because, again, all those things are important, but you have to know how to sustain. You have to know how to say, I can't quit today, because we lifing, bills are coming, and you have to pay them. And so you have to have a business plan. You have to know your numbers, build relationships, and understand the market. You have to educate yourself. You have to know what's happening in the market so that you can be the person that does the extra step, so that when no one else is using that database, you're using yours, so that you can have that return business. So you have to have a business plan and have a budget. We can't go buy a new car when we get that first check. I'm telling you, because it changes.
Monica touched on a good point of creating discipline and creating balance. And so what is, anyone can answer, what is a strategy that you took personally to create this discipline and create balance in your individual business? I mean, many of us know that last year and 2 years ago, a lot of agents were making more money than dope dealers. So now, when that day is now gone, what are some strategies for discipline and balance that you've put in place individually?
I mean, I think we just have to make sure we can't be too high and too low. Like a lot of us, like you said, when you make money, then you spend the money. And I always say it's not about how much money you make, but how much money you keep. There's a lot of clients that I have that don't make a ton of money, but they save all their money. And I see people that's making, a lot of money in this business and they don't save anything and they don't run their business. Like, this is not a hobby, this is literally a business, and we have to treat our business like businesses. So I think, we just have to be smart with our finances and just not get too high and too low and just kind of take it one day at a time. Like, if we take it one day at a time, great, you have a great day, but that's yesterday, yesterday's over, and then what can we accomplish today?
I wanted to go back to like a piece of advice. Like, I think that it's good for everyone to like affiliate or get mentorship with those folks that really understand you and your business, the type of clients you work with, the areas that you target, and not necessarily based off of their GCI or gross income, because that's fake. I mean, like, you don't know what their P&L looks like, and I mean, quite frankly, like when I was at brokerages in the past, like, they would frown upon agents that work $200,000 homes, you know what I'm saying? Like, and just being in, not necessarily inner city, but you're moving in and out of, surrounding areas where the average sales price is $250, $300. And when you traditionally go into some of these companies, the smoke and mirrors is I need to get with the hottest agent in the office. And if they don't understand you, the type of clients, what type of clientele you have, or what you're building, you'll find yourself turning away people for wrong reasons. So for me, if you say create balance, like I take anything where I'm positive, to be honest. Like, because you just never know who someone knows, and everyone is 6 degrees of separation away. So some of my biggest clients come from the smallest ones. So I would just definitely, consider who you're looking at, who you're following, because you can get caught up real quick on, $1 million GCI, and it's not really $1 million GCI, you know what I'm saying? So that would be one tidbit that I would throw in there.
Right, and to add to it, I would say never compare your success to anyone else, especially a lot of these realtors that you see online and on Facebook. Again, like Will said, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. This business, you work your ass off. And I've heard and had conversations with so many newer realtors. I don't want to do rentals. I don't want to do this. You have to be well-rounded in this business. I will say find your niche, but at the same time, never say what you won't do. Because with the market being the way that it is now, you never know. We may be going back to rentals. Rentals may be popular again. I know it's a pain, but you should always be well-rounded in this business because you never know where you're going to end up. Again, when I started in this business, for the first couple of years, I didn't do anything. Those were the early 2000s. Then I discovered what's called BPOs, broker price opinions. You don't know what those are, get familiar with them. I used to do them from the morning to the night. And Will be my witness because he did the same thing. And those BPOs turned into REO listings, foreclosure listings. Those REOs turned into my investor clients. My investor clients start flipping, they buy stuff and turn it around it whirlwinds from there. But never say what you won't do in this business because you have to be well-rounded. Right?
I got one even better on the BPOs. Like, I literally, just like becoming a broker, and you talk to so many different agents and, newcomers coming on. And I used to tell folks that, I was doing $40 BPOs or $35 BPOs. So that sounds like minimal, right? But when you do 200 of them a month, and I have order typers and all these picture takers, that's a 10 grand a month business that turned into, a corporate client with assets of like 500 million, and we're buying properties from Harford County down to Montgomery County. Like, so it can kind of go anywhere you want it, but it started out at doing $40 BPO.
It was grimy, and I'm telling you, I would go in houses, you go around the way, you and them sit on the porch, you gotta tell them, excuse me, can I take the picture? But then you build your way up to the picture takers and things of that nature. Now, I don't know what the business is like now for BPOs. I mean, it's definitely worth researching, but I put my daughter through college on BPOs. I wasn't always selling houses, but then it became a point where those clients turned into investors. Then the flip market got hot. The REO market kind of went flat, but it's coming back again. So you just never know in this business.
And in direct response to your question, like, do we have a plan? I think everyone, and I don't want to drum that it's a business. It absolutely is a business, but the plan is to really set goals, put processes and systems in place, and then be true to it. Time block. I'm really busy. I have the time block. So you have the time block to set aside time so that you are working your sphere. You have to work your sphere, because I noticed that there's probably a lot of agents in here that are under like 5 to 6 years. So you have to work your sphere. And I can't talk enough about budgeting. If you get the check, a certain percentage needs to go to your account for taxes. A certain percentage needs to go to invest back into your business. And then you can, play a little bit too. And, we gotta get our ties in there. I'm a strong believer that God will give it back to me.
Oh, yes.
So I personally, mine is percentage to taxes, percentage to savings, tithing, and back into the business. And it's still something like 4 pair shoes here and there, or vacation. Like, I'm joking, but you really, really have to run your business like a business. You have to pay yourself, you have to have responsibilities, and make sure all those things are taken care of. Because it's not, the money gonna come and it's gonna go.
Monica, they bought enough shoes. It's done. With the market we're going in, you bought enough shoes. You bought enough belts, you bought enough jewelry. I get tired of seeing Eric and Malcolm at the table buying all these properties. I'm like, come on, Charles. So I want to see y'all buy these properties.
That's investing back into the business. When I say not just your business, but the real estate industry. You have to invest in and find ways to take that money and go and buy a property, or partner with someone. Create a group where you have a group of investors, and you guys are figuring out how to get a return. It's not hard to do. So if you're in the real estate industry, you should be putting back into the real estate industry. Buy stock. It's like buying stock in your business.
It's honestly, it's a cheat code. I mean, you guys have access to stuff that most investors don't have. So investing in real estate is really a cheat code for most of us in this room. And where we really think about it is how the richest people in this world create their wealth. So, I mean, we're going to be advocates and tell other people that they should create wealth for themselves. We need to do that for ourselves first.
Since we're talking about investing, let's lean on Tiffany and Eric, who everybody here is trying to get one of their rehabs. Right? Everybody here is calling them like, can I please. So can we hear about that process, about what it's like working with investors, and from the buying of when it's raggedy to turning it around when you get back to listed again. Whatever you'd like to share.
It's hell. I got one of them sitting in the audience right now, but no. But before I go there, the one thing I would say is, and this kind of ties into everything too. I was just reading something the other day and I never looked at it this way like this, right? So if you don't own anything in here, you have never had an LLC or any kind of incorporated business, you actually are a business owner. You're a business owner of yourself first. And I think you said something, Monica, about that. The first thing I think we need to do in this industry is brand yourself. You can't brand no other company without having the right brandage of your own self. Whatever that brandage you branding yourself is, but remember, whatever you put out is the way people are going to perceive you. If you're going to put yourself out there as being this person that have it all, that's the way people are going to perceive you. If you're going to be this, whatever it is, and I don't want to talk about particular people, but what I'm saying is you got to remember, most of us are on social media, and we all know that is one of the best advertisements you can get. That is the new TV, right? So if you put yourself out there, that's the way people are going to perceive you. I've built a lot of my relationships, a lot of my investors, like Will said, like it's building his relationship with his investor. I built a lot of my relationship with investors, realtors, some of you guys in here is because how I brand myself. Now what I may do also outside of social media, you don't know, because I'm never going to put it on there. If it's something that doesn't look, I want that image out there. And I think that's one thing that we as realtors, and not just realtors, lenders, title company, everybody in here, you staging company, whatever it is, you got to brand yourself and you want people to take you serious because that's what people want to invest in. I always look at a person like, Jay-Z always says that famous quote, he was a businessman, but he's a businessman. Take that for what he's saying. What he's really saying is he is the business. Jay ain't who he is because of all the other stuff that came to Jay, all the other opportunities, all the other companies that now made him this successful billionaire is because he is who he is. The same way with all these other celebrity people and worldwide successful people we know. So that's one thing. But on the investor side, it's not for everybody. I'm clear to say that. Like everybody can't deal with it because it is work. It is headache, right? It is stressful sometimes because clients, sometimes they don't respect your time because what their mind is, they're thinking about the bottom line. So all they're concerned about is the money. And look, they'll jump ship. If you're not feeding them, they go into will. They go into tip. They go on wherever the case may be, And so there are touchy people. They got to be nurtured to a certain degree. But you also got to come, and I see this all the time, where people that don't know about investments, realtors, will get an investor client, and they just blow it. They send them down the wrong avenue. They selling the house too high. They didn't do the house like they did. They painted the whole house purple and black like the Ravens. And they just did it because you think I should do this? Yeah, that works. You think I should do that? Yeah, that works. You don't want to do that. I always say to agents, and I've said this to some agents, if you really don't know about the investment market, you should pass that client to somebody else that does. Because the last thing you want to do is mess your name up, your image up by sending that client. Because that's my money. If I'm coming to you, that's my money. And you mess that up, I'm never going to use you again. And there it is, out the window. And so those are my opinions on the investment piece. I mean, of course, this market that we're going in now, they all have questions like all of us do. So I try to educate myself as much as I can. I try to do a lot of YouTube, and some of the stuff is just, not all true, but because they come to me asking me, they trusted me. I'm making them money, bottom line. So if they making money, they happy to help me keep making money. So you got to know your stuff, know your business.
Absolutely. Investors can be very difficult to work with. Eric, Will, myself, all of us, we had these listings and it looks great. It looks like, oh, she got a lot of listings. But it's hell when you're dealing with a lot of different investors. You have a lot of different attitudes. You have a lot of things, different things that you have to cater to. So it's not always as easy as it looks. Again, you guys have, well, I'm not gonna say you guys, because I know a lot of you are not new, but the newer agents in the business, you have it good. Because when we really started in this business, we didn't have social media. We used to, when I was with Long and Foster many years ago, we would have to sit there and do floor duty, knock on doors, do all kinds of cold calling. So the social media piece is excellent now for people to use, and especially when you're trying to sell your properties. It's easy. You can sell your property on social media because of your relationships with your different agents and stuff that you have on it. But it looks easy, but it's not as easy as it looks because you're dealing with so many different types of attitudes, questions about what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do this? And I always tell a lot of my investors, especially the newer ones, and we just had this conversation earlier, when in Rome, you do as the Romans do. You don't go off the beaten path and try to do something different in particular neighborhoods where you know what's selling in those neighborhoods. So dealing with investors, like you said, you should, if you've never done them before, you probably should get advice and pass them on because it's not an easy game and you can ruin your reputation. Right?
So two things, you may ask something.
Well, if I had to add anything, I really think that it's important to really understand comps. Like there's so many agents that don't really know how to pull comps. And I'm not talking about just pulling comps and saying, oh, this is the highest value. You should learn, adjustments, all types of different things. And maybe that comes from the BPO side when I first started. But evaluations is key in any investment in real estate. Like not just looking at, oh, well, that sold for $330. Well, it's a lot more detailed than that. And I say adjustments because there's percentages that you need to know as compared to like the square footage of each property, style, like all those things. So I would say the most important thing in investments is really understanding and knowing how to dig deep on comparables.
Especially right now more than ever.
Yeah.
Because just, me and Tiff was talking about this earlier, you could buy a house today, you could settle on that house today, just sign those documents, right? And you bought it at this price, but you don't know where the market is gonna be come January or February. So if you overpaid, you're in trouble. We were just saying that, like, the problem is, right now, a lot of the investor side, they bought some of these houses in July, June, May, and they might have had so many of them, and now they're getting to them, but the market didn't change on them. And like, the last 2 years, my numbers was very easy. Look, we ain't giving up no closing help, so it was just, it was commission and transfer taxes, that's it. But you got to start factoring in closing help now, and that 3%, 4% is a big difference now. Especially when you bought in May, June, and you kind of already overpaid from the beginning anyway. So it's gonna be, one of the agents we were talking today, they were asking me, did I have something in the price range? And I'm like, nah, not right now, but in a few months, you might see that price range come back around, because right now, everybody's still trying to sell off of last year's numbers or earlier this year's numbers. So those are gonna be the things, like going back to what Will said. When you comp it, you can't comp a sale that sold 3 months ago and think that you're gonna get it possibly in the next couple months. And if you do, you might be hitting down the wrong alley.
And investors rely highly on your expertise. So the comps are key, because if you're overpricing these properties, and your investors looking at you like, what the hell, you just tell me to list this house for? So those are very important to learn your comps and how to pull a comp.
The first thing investors gonna do when the number's different is ask you to reduce your commission. We don't want that.
And one other thing too, vet the investors, because there are a lot of people out here that call you. I get calls from people all over the country. I'm a HUD listing broker, and I'll tell you, if they see something with $20,000 house, everybody's calling me from all over. They want to buy it. I'm like, you really should see it, and especially the sight unseen investors, because all they're gonna do is back out once they see the house. I'm like, this house literally has a tree growing out of it, and I don't care, and then it's in the worst neighborhood. So, just vet them, and usually what I do is I always tell them before they even, I always say if they validate themselves on the first 30 seconds of the phone call, they're lying, okay? First thing I say is send me a proof of funds letter. And proof of funds is not a hard money lender letter. That's a loan. Okay, a bank account statement with their name on it, with their company name, is proof of funds.
May I question? The moment you ask for proof of funds, they get quiet and you never get it. And the conversation is over. Conversation is over. A couple of you touched on social media. So, as seasoned agents, how do you think you've adjusted or can adjust to social media and growing your business in that way? Season was the operative word there.
So I don't post. I hate videos. I actually pay someone to just post listings. I'm just not that guy. I'm like Tiffany was saying back then, we didn't have all of that. I can make a good flyer though. As far as putting stuff up on social media, that's just not me. But I do understand the importance of it.
So y'all all know we didn't have social media, and we too busy. We don't have time for social media. So shamelessly, I'm gonna say, YRN Designs and Photography. They're amazing. They'll handle your social media for you. But it is a necessity because social media wasn't around. Of course, we didn't use it. But social media is invaluable. It can make or break your business. So be who you say you are. If you're going to use social media, be who you say you are. Do what you say you're going to do. And that's where your respect and growth comes from, and as you continue to build relationships. Yeah, we got to use it though.
Yeah, in no way am I an expert on social media at all. There's a lot of cool people in my office that are, but I will say with social media, you just have to be present. You have to be authentic. You have to be who you say you are, and people need to know you exist. I feel like in our business, it's just like Google. The first thing people, if they can find out, if we're looking for a vacation, what we're gonna do? We're gonna Google the place. We're gonna see what the reviews are. Well, same with us. Like, they're looking us up. They want to see. If you've never closed a loan before, they're going to see that. If you're just posting crazy stuff, they're going to see that too. So we just have to be aware of how we portray ourselves in social media as well. You know, I mean, likes are great, but if that's not who you really are, then I don't think that's going to resonate with people.
It's amazing people out here training though, so you can be really, you can do a great job. If it's your thing and you think you can be great at it, then get trained and be great at it. Because people, it really has changed some businesses. It really has. Just be trained and be who you are.
Anyone else have anything?
I love it. I'm the old school guy that love it. I think it's needed. I think it's, I get motivated from it, to be honest with you. You know, whether people fake it or not. I mean, some faking stuff just look just as good. So, you know, you're doing me a favor by motivating me, whether you got it or not. I enjoy it because I think it's the world that we're in. Yeah, I can say all that for all of us. When we were coming up, but you know, back then it was like, you know, you go to a club, you take a picture, and you had your photo album, right? And you went home and you was like, yeah, you had all your photo albums, right? But you couldn't see nobody else's photo albums, right? But now I can get to see everybody else's photo albums. Some people I've never met before, but I know, you know, from social media, and I see them out and be like, hey, you such and such, and vice versa. So I think it's great. I think it's needed. I will tell you, in my opinion, depends on the kind of level you want to go. All depends on where you want to go. Everybody's goal in this real estate business is different. Everybody up here is different goals. It all depends on what your end game is. I always say that. What's your end game? You might not need to be on social media based on your end game. Me, my end game, social media is helping me towards my end game. Let me just say that, you know. And it has nothing to do with the instance of social media. It has to do with it to be getting my product visible. But some people may just feel okay. And I'll just, listen, I was not that person at all. I was, a few years ago, I was like, no, anti-Facebook, anti-social media. But what I realized is when I started seeing some of the successful people in the world, whatever their product, whatever they had on it, if Diddy can get on there every day and he got plenty of money, if DJ Khaled can get on there every day, he got plenty of money, and I don't have nowhere near that kind of money, then I need to try to get on here and try to get an audience of what it is. And I've picked up business from it. I've got referrals from it. I've met a lot of great agents through it and built relationships for it. So what I'm saying is, you're right, like Monica said, it is important. It might not be for everybody. If it don't work for you, then it just don't work for you. But if it does work for you, then build on it because clearly it's making a lot of people successful.
Yeah, in this day and age, I think you need it, especially with a lot of the newer agents. You need to let everybody know that you're a realtor, especially when you're trying to break into the business. It's the best thing for you. So I just haven't mastered it. I play around with it a little bit, but for the most part, it's definitely needed.
And it's free.
It's free market.
Right. So when we were coming up, we used to have to put ads in the paper. In the Baltimore Sun, we put ads in the paper about houses that we were selling. So to have something like social media where it's free advertising, you can't go wrong. You can't go. We put so many ads in the paper there were violations. You're not putting the right stuff. And even with advertising now, you have to make sure that you're advertising and you're putting the right things out there because you can get in trouble if somebody tell them.
So I like what Aaron. Of course, I follow his social media, but one thing he does is a level of consistency. Of course, you're not going to see his personal life, but he creates a cadence in his posting where you go to his page and you know exactly who you want to be in business with, as far as on the investing side, or just on the investing side more so. So I like the fact that you create the consistency and you create a level of automation in your posting where you just drop it and go. And then everything else is in your story, so you do a good job of the consistency and creating your cadence.
I will say though, I think social media is your business card. I mean, think about it. Most, especially the younger generation, and I ain't even saying younger generation, I'm saying now. Think about the times that we had. Here's my thing, and Wayne, you're probably been in the business longer than everybody up here, but you understand when you first got in this business, you know, people were wearing suits and ties down to, this is me, right? This is who I am, right? And I'm not saying I might not be for every client. Some clients may want the guy with the suit, tie, shoes. That's just not who I am, right? And that's fine, I'm okay with that. You can't win everybody. But what I do realize is sometimes it's better to be yourself. If I got in a suit, like, well, nice suit, but that wouldn't be me. And you're not gonna get the best out of me being like that. So therefore, to get the best out of me is this. This is who I am, this is how I talk. But what I do bring to the table is I bring the knowledge, I bring the education. You know, and once you get to know me, you realize that, but you're not gonna get that unless, you know, in this case, if I just hand you a business card, you wouldn't know that, right? But if you get, like India's saying is, you know, yeah, I'll give you my business card, but the first thing I ask is you on social media? Oh yeah, I'm on Facebook. Request me. Because then I think you'll understand who I am. Then you'll know that, okay, he's somebody, he does a little bit of something, you know, but that's the business. That's, to me, that's how you sell your business in today's world.
You know what, one other thing too is that you have to create your own niche market. So the funny thing is up here, and even other agents out here, we've never competed for business. Like, all brokers, pretty much all of us are friends. You know, we can go out, hang out, and we never compete for business because we all have our own niche market. And the whole thing is, the key is to create that repeat and referral business. And once you do that, then you don't have to worry about paying for leads, paying for advertising, and doing all these other things. You just have to stay relevant, and the business will come to you. And typically, if you can do that, that should be within like your first 5 years of your business. You know, hit it hard with the marketing, and then after that, everything should just come back to you, just a repeat referral business.
So, all this stuff around your social media, we're gonna switch now. As listing agent, and I want to go here mainly because many of you have talked at some point about relationships matter and building relationships, forming partnerships. So as listing agent, what is your advice to buyer agent in making that happen? For forming and forging a relationship with you, to get the deal done, to get your offer at least considered, and then have a relationship there after the deal.
Say again?
That confusing a lot. So what are your, as a listing agent, what are your advice to a buyer's agent to form a relationship, to get the deal done, as well as to have a relationship after the deal?
It's easy, just know what you're doing.
That's a big pet peeve.
Just know what
Send
you're
the
doing.
contract over.
And having the right lender. I mean, because we all have a lender blacklist out
Oh,
there.
yeah,
You know, so, I mean, there's contracts that come up.
Can the church say amen?
I don't mean any harm, but if you see a name on it, I'm not even going any further. I tell the agent, you gotta find a new lender before we even look at it. Right with you.
What's said in this room stays in this room. I'm not calling out names. But basically, for instance, and this is not just because Malcolm is sitting here, but 9 times out of 10, because I work primarily in the Baltimore City area, it's gonna be the same agents a lot of times, it's gonna be the same lenders, so on and so forth. So if I see something, agent come through, and it says Malcolm, I'm immediately drawn to that contract. If it says ABC lender, they gave me hell on the last deal, didn't close the deal, it was a bunch of issues, I'm gonna put that at the bottom of the pile. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm not gonna tell my client, but I probably won't. But basically, it's all, again, it goes back to forming those relationships, able to pick up the phone when Malcolm sees my name on a listing. Malcolm can say, Tiff, I got an agent that's looking, and not to say that you do it just based off of favoritism, because you're definitely gonna make sure that that's the better deal, but basically, that's how you get your offers accepted. And Eric and I have talked a lot about agent etiquette. A lot of agents do not know how to, oh my God, y'all don't I've had agents call me, and I'm not bullshitting, I'm telling y'all the truth. They call me and say, Tiffany, why my offer didn't get accepted? First of all, who are you? What is your offer? What are you talking about? And these are agents that I've never talked to a day in my life. But if Leon called me, I got Leon stored in my phone. Okay, Leon, what's up? You know what I mean? And that's not to say that it's always based on favoritism, but for 9 times out of 10, when you build those relationships and you know how to talk and you know how to approach, and it is a level of respect. When you know an agent like Eric has a lot of listings in that area, you're not just calling Eric, what's up? And you never talked to Eric before. Introduce yourself, get to know these people. Be in rooms like this, because rooms like this are important. You know what I mean? And when we get those listings, we know I've talked to Brittany, Pete. Me and Pete used to do my hair. So you know what I mean? So those are the relationships that you form over time. Anisha. I've never met Anisha a day in my life. We've talked on the phone. I've seen her over the years, and we built a good relationship. Those relationships are key, and those are the ways that you are able to get your offer accepted. Tell the truth.
It is. We can't talk enough about relationships, how important it is. Because like Tiffany just said, I can pick up the phone like Tiff, India. They know our work. I shared this in the training that I submitted an offer on a property, and it was two contracts. They were exactly alike. The listing agent came back and was like, hey, they just alike you, and we count offering. It's 10 your highest and best. We both sent back the exact same 2 offers. My offer was accepted because he said, you had no missing initials on your contract. It was the cleanest, it was in order, and that's why I accepted that one, because we would have had to go back and forth on the other one because there were too many missing documents and initials. It makes the difference. And then on another note with listings is, in the best interest of our clients, the sellers, our relationships are important. Because like she said, if I see Malcolm as the lender, then I know that how the process is going to go. In addition, we as a community should be calling each other saying, hey, I just have a new listing on the market. Malcolm, how many buyers did you approve this week? Call that agent, whether you know him or not, and say, Malcolm said, I just pre-approved somebody for $300,000. You just put a $295 listing on the market. Malcolm, what's her name? Latasha just got a pre-approval. Then I'm going to look her up and call Latasha and say, hey, Latasha, I just put a house on the market. I know you have a buyer that qualifies for that amount. Let's come see it. Let's work together. Again, for this community, those are the type of conversations we should be having.
And before anyone else talks, we're gonna stay here. That's happening on the other side every day. If you get a buyer in certain areas, and let's say I'm gonna call them Lutherville, Timonium, and you can try to figure out why you can't get nothing accepted, because they listed by ABC brokerage, and they have a buyer's agent in ABC brokerage, and they're going to send it to, but it never left their agency because they're doing their networking. So many of us don't have to, do that within our brokerages, but within this community that we're forming here tonight.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, from a lender perspective, relationships are everything. Everybody on this stage, I've begged for to get my buyers accepted. I mean, Eric will send me all his listings, and I'm like, all right, bet we're gonna get some buyers in your listings. So, I mean, relationships are everything. From a lender perspective, we have to do what we say we're gonna do. We got to close every time, not sometimes, not a little bit, or every time. So, for my company, we try to do what we say we're gonna do every single time. And, these relationships is what really makes a difference. I would say maybe 30% of all my buyers get accepted because I know the listing agent on the other side.
Yes, to add to your point, no, I do call you all the time. Yeah. But also it's the flip side too, though. It's, if it's not gonna work, then just say it ain't gonna work. That's the other side of it. It's like, okay, if the deal's falling apart, just say the deal falling apart. The worst thing it's communication. We all gonna get paid once the deal settles. But if it ain't settling, none of us getting paid. So it's better for the reputation of us all to kind of pretty much say, hey, listen, Will, man, I'm calling you, man, letting you know this deal. Go ahead and put your house back on the market, your client's house back on the market. It's not gonna work. That gives Will to say, all right, you know what? I'll work with Eric again. But if I try to play that game and stir them, I ain't answering the phone and all that. And the thing is as you get more into this business, especially from the agents that do more listings, you start to understand that you know how it works. When the deal first gets under contract, everybody's happy. Everybody's excited. You can answer the call. I call you 10 o'clock at night. You will answer the call. When it's not going right, 2 days go by. I don't hear from you. I'm texting you, calling the lender. I don't care if you got the bad lender. Keep your name in good grace. Because you can't sometimes control the lender.
Right.
You know, you can't. The buyer might already came with that ABC lender, but keep your name in good grace. And that's where, you know, I'm sure we're gonna keep touching on this tonight, because if you don't take nothing from this, and anything you should take from this is relationships is the most important thing you have in this business. I promise you, relationships will take you to levels you've never been to. Most of the people that are around me in my research, you know, I preach this to everybody all the time. It's very important on the people you surround yourself around. And there's levels of relationships too. You know, there's nothing wrong with hanging out and kicking it with the person that you've known for years and y'all was kids, and you know, but as you coming up this ladder, your relationship's gonna change, and they should change. If they're not changing, that's something wrong with you. That's saying a lot about you. You know, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I don't. You don't get nothing. There's no benefit from that. You know, I want to be around agents like this. All these agents are here. We have had relationships, some more than others. Me and Tiff talk like brother and sister all the time. You know what I mean? And I might hit her and say, hey, what's going on your eye? What's going on in the body? But that's how you build stuff. You know. So yeah, at the end of the day, that is your name matters. I just go back to what you said earlier, Monday, the branding. Your name matters in this business. It really does. And look, we're a small community. All the agents that's in here right now is probably a third of all the black agents in the Baltimore City, Baltimore County region. So it's a small community. When you get a bad name, it ain't good. It's not good. And for the record, we talk.
And again, we bounce a lot of stuff off of each other. I had an agent, she was mad. I think she wanted to fight me. I don't know. But again, when she said to me, she said, I'm gonna call my mentor. She called her mentor. Guess what? I know your mentor. So, you know, it's like she didn't realize that what you put out, you're gonna see me again. You're gonna see me again. And I'm not to say that I'm all that, because that's not the issue, but you can tell when an agent is struggling through the contract. She was struggling through the contract, and as I was trying to help her, she got frustrated. And she said, I have my mentor for that. I don't need you to do that. And I knew her mentor. And her mentor said the same thing. He said to her, agents such as her, they dominate this area in Baltimore City. You're going to see her again. And again, at some point, we're going to pass these torches to you guys. So you need to know these things when you're getting in business, that relationships are key. Build a relationship with each person up on this panel and every person in this room. You can't go wrong.
And just to add to that, then I'll let you move on, is we as veterans, or some of you that are just very experienced, there are going to be agents that need help. I'm actually on a transaction right now, and the contract was horrible. I sent it out to my whole office. It's like, this is what we won't be doing. But I said to them, if you don't have anyone to help you, let me know, and I will assist you through the process. They went away for 2 days and came back and was like, I need you to help me, tell me how to do this contract. And I found the time to do it. But we're not gonna always have that time. But as you continue to grow in your businesses, you have to give back to not just our communities, but to each other, this community. Because everybody don't have mentors. Everybody don't have mentors. So yeah, if you see us and you're working with us, or even if you just need help, you know how to find us, we can help you.
October the 1st to change, y'all.
Right. I just want to say to you guys, you know, stress the importance of knowing the contract.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Because
does
a lot of them will write a contract, but they don't know the crux of it. They don't know the details of it. And then it's like when something comes up, they're like, well, I didn't know. And that's it. I just wanted to know, like, how important is that as you guys being skilled agents? In addition, the process that you tell the people that you mentor, like, is the consultation so important, because you don't want to be a door opener. So I just wanted to get your opinion.
No, so that's actually a good question. I mean, the question, because everyone in here should know that contract actually changed October 1st. Okay, so I still got two of the old contracts yesterday on 2 listings. And of course, it wasn't filled out properly, like we already said. So that's kind of like a telltale sign of what I'm in store for with this person. So again, all you gotta do is read it. It's so self-explanatory. You can just read the contract, and you should know that contract, the ins and outs, because if you send it to someone, he signed, and they send it right back to you 5 minutes later, you know they didn't read it. But you have to be able to tell them what each paragraph means without even, they say, well, what does this mean? You can say, oh, it means this, so you can summarize it. And a lot of people can't, and that's where it goes back to the educational piece and investing in yourself as far as learning everything. I mean, sit down. If you don't have any business, write mock contracts, because that's what I used to do. When I didn't have any business, I would just sit in the office, pull any listing, and just write a contract out with an ABC buyer. And then you get to learn it, and then you start mastering that actual contract, all the addendums that go with it. So you can have a tight offer, so your offer will get accepted.
And we have to work in the best interest of our clients. Remember, it's not about us, it's about the client. So if you don't understand the contract, come up against an experienced agent and they challenge you on it. What you gonna do?
Oh, yeah.
That's what you're gonna do. You have to understand the contract to protect your clients. We took an oath when we got our license that we would work in care and concern. So in order for you to live up to that, you have to understand the contract yourself. I have agents in my office and they'll ask me a question and I'll be like, read it. I'm not gonna tell you how to do it, read it. And then we're gonna discuss through it. So that is very important. And if you need help, because again, everybody don't have great mentors, I mean, think it, would find somebody in your office, one of us, anybody, to help you understand the contracts, all of it.
Yeah.
Remember, it's legal. That's what most people don't realize. Like, if it ain't filled out properly and you going to court, I mean, you as an agent can be in trouble. You could be held in trouble. And I mean, there could be your career out the window because you just missed something. And you know how it is, or like Monica said, I learned the hard way years ago when I first got in. An agent, well, I shouldn't say the hard way. She actually was really nice. I cannot remember her name, but really nice lady. She did a lot in Pikesville. She's now retired. But she kind of sent me down. It's like, you are doing wrong for your client. But she didn't have to be that way. And I had to correct, she made the corrections and all that kind of stuff. But the point I'm making is, to what Monica said, just remember, y'all, this is legal. We selling, these contracts are binding. So when we tell them to sign something, and they're saying, well, Eric told me to sign it, then there could be a problem,
And I would just say, add, please discuss the contingencies with your lender. So like, if you have, I've got a deal once where the commitment letter was due in 3 days and the agent sent me the contract in 2. So, I mean, that's a little tough. So just please try to make sure you discuss the contingencies with the lender so that we're both on the same page. And that, because ultimately we are working for the client, we don't want the client to lose their EMD or anything. So, if we're both on the same page, then we're working for the same common goal.
You add something?
From on a title standpoint, especially if you had that contract ratified 5 days ago, 10 days ago, and you send that contract today, and you're saying, we're closing next week, you know you're not closing next week. Baltimore City is still on a 10-day lane sheet turnaround. The counties are a little quicker. It's just common sense. Of course, if you miss something, initials, or the seller missed an initial, or it's supposed to have been written, the seller was the estate, of course, title is going to correct that and let you know, hey, you need to change that, you need to add an addendum. That's basically it.
So the hour is drawing near, so if you have any questions that we haven't touched on yet, you use those QR codes to submit them and I can get to them. For the broker team manager, it's a twofold question. One, how did you know it was time to grow your business or take your business to the next level in that direction? And then two, to broker team manager, what is it that you look for in new agents and how do you nurture them? And that's the second part comes from the floor.
Well, I guess for me, it was like Eric was saying, what's your end game? I was in the office when I first got in this business, the average agent was over 50 years old, one female, and they were still showing houses up until like 70, 80 years old. And I said, I don't want to be that person. So, I just started, like I said, when I got this business, I had no interest in helping anybody buy and sell houses. I didn't. I just started, people started asking me questions. I started helping them, and I said, okay, this isn't bad. I can help people make money and keep going. So then I ended up starting to help agents. So then the agents and that kind of grew, and I had I was a managing broker with Century 21, then I went independent and had a boutique brokerage, and then I bought a franchise. So, but it just started helping the agents because I saw the lack of professionalism out here, and I saw all the opportunities that people were missing out on. So, that's why I decided to do it, and we joke all the time, especially Monica, it's a big babysitting job. Like some days I wake up and I wonder, like, why did I do this? Why did I do that? I would have been so much better just on my own. But it's just, the whole thing is just trying to help others get to this point where they can grow, their business and everything underneath of ours. And what was that second question?
What was it?
How do you pick that?
Oh, how do I pick personality? Personality. So, I don't bet on a horse, I always bet on a jockey. So everybody's gonna come in and tell you, oh, I can do this, I'm trying to change the world, I'm on fire, and I'm betting against you. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm betting against you. And, but it's that individual, that person, that personality, because like you said, this is not an easy business. You look at TV shows and they make it seem easy, and it's not. So I usually give most agents, if they can last 6 months, then I know that they're pretty good.
And so it's a very similar story. I got my real estate license for reasons, and then it's just a natural progression. I said, if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to go all the way and I'm going to be the best at it. So a natural progression was to be a real estate agent and then go to the next level. More importantly, I found myself mentoring agents, and I was at a brokerage, a smaller brokerage that didn't offer a lot. And so I would mentor agents and then send them to Keller Williams, send them everywhere. And they would say, why are you sending me off? You got me started, why would you send me off? And I'm just like, oh yeah, because I'm just the agent here. I can't give you what you need. And I woke up one day and was just like, why am I sending them off? They want to mentor under me, why not continue to do it? And the second question, I have a heart for people. So if you have a heart for people, then you'll fit into our culture. It's your personality, really. It's not whether you can type fast or whether you're a salesperson or not, because everybody can be taught to be a salesperson. But it's really, like Wayne said, about the personality and your heart for people. We're in a people business. You can't be an authentic, successful real estate agent and not like or care about people. If you're in it just for the money, then you're gonna leave for the money. So just a natural progression in helping people.
I really didn't want to be a broker. I didn't even want to be a real estate agent, to be honest. Like, I had sales jobs out of college, and I was just like, I'm not doing that. And through investing, it's so crazy. Like, I've been doing it so long. I remember when Glad wasn't even like nobody. Like, I just happened to meet him at a property. He was like, you should get your license. I'm like, okay, all right. And at that time, we were down at a boutique brokerage, and it just happened to be the largest REO brokerage in the area. And I watched him progress, and we both kind of like grew. And then as I started transitioning to the business from, boutique company to boutique company, because I never liked the brand names. I got recruited by a brand name. I was like, all right, I can do that. That sounds easy. And I started to grow a team. But while I was there, I started to realize that you really have no control over like anything. And I don't necessarily mean like control, but like, you're growing a business, you're growing a team, but you're watching these individuals come into business as new agents, and they're really struggling. Like, they're not making any money. They can't, afford to, pay the bills or the fees that go along with it. And because of caps and things of that sort, it's changed a lot now. They're a lot lower. But like when I was with the brand name, I just felt bad by growing a business, growing a team, or being a team leader, and I couldn't control any of the dollars. So like, through a long story short, I just went and got my broker's license and started from there. And it just kind of just transitioned into so many other things that I didn't even realize that it would. So that's kind of how it started. I still don't like it. I mean, I can do it, but I mean, it's tough, you know what I'm saying? It's tough because we live in society where nobody wants to be told anything, to be honest. So like, I mean, like, to answer the second part, like, I don't choose people, I let them choose me. And that's just that. I mean, I already had a business before. I don't need you, you know. Like, I'm just keeping it real, you know what I'm saying? Because like, you see so many panels and it's just like, people just throw you anything. Like before where I was talking about the GCI, like half the people that you're following are not making that kind of money at the end of the day. And I know that because I've been doing it so long, but I mean, I think that you get messed up by choosing the people. Like, you just let them choose you. Like, the people that are ordered for you will start to move in your path, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I've just learned that over the years, and it's just too much headache trying to chase people. So, that's pretty much my teaching.
What about you? Take me into plans about next.
Oh, all right. I mean, I became a manager and started my own operation because I was tired of doing it for free. And, you know, everybody used to come to me in my office and my manager used to always be like, oh, go to Malcolm, he'll help you out. But, you know, I'm just so passionate about making sure, you know, there's not a lot of black lenders out here, quite frankly, and there's not a lot of good ones, to be honest. And I'm tired of hearing that there's not a lot of good ones. And I think that that's something that my team and I can change. And I think that's something that we have changed. And I think that, you know, you can really be financially free in this business if you allow it to do, if you run it like a business. So I'm passionate about helping people, especially our people and minorities, getting a chance. I mean, I'm proud to have 4 women loan officers on my team. I don't think there's any places that have that. But, you know, home financing, you should be able to use people that look like you. Like, the experts are not always other people. Like, we know just as much. And that's what I'm looking to do.
All right, so just as a one additional question to that, for a new agent, how do you teach the fundamentals and nurture them to grow and to be the best agent or have professional etiquette of industry standard?
Can I say something? Okay. So, it's very important, and this is not a plug, guys, but at our office, when you join, whether you are a new agent,
Not recruit Monica.
a new agent or an experienced agent, there is a strategic onboarding process that we have. And part of that onboarding process is meeting with Malcolm, meeting with a title company, doing a business plan. What else is the job? I forgot. So it's 6 weeks before we send you out there. You go through a strenuous 6-week onboarding process where each week you are getting trained on the contract. You do a business plan. You meet with the lender. You meet with the title company. You meet with our social media manager. You get all the fundamentals in that first 6 weeks before we let you go. So that works for us. Does it work?
Yes, it works.
It works.
So, not to put a plug out or anything. So it's pretty much similar. We have an onboarding process. We also have boot camps twice a month where we do trainings, like we go over the contract. We go over a lot of different things. And it's actually, because you are an independent contractor, I mean, we make it mandatory, but it's up to you to come. And unfortunately, a lot of people that really need it don't come.
Right.
So, and I'm one of those people, I mean, I'll put a lot of energy into you. I can be your cheerleader for 30 days, but after that, I mean, you gotta be the one that won it. So, I pride myself as being a broker that you can call anytime and ask a question. So it's just one of those things where, I just gotta see how much you want to put into it, because this is a business. What you put into it is what you get out of it. Like, I never understand, people will say, I want to quit my job, I want to be my own boss, and this, that, and the other. But they'll spend 2 hours a day on their own business, but they'll go somewhere and work for somebody else for eight hours and do overtime. So I just, that's just one of those things where, it's really up to the individual.
And the reality is, becoming a realtor, of course, it was in the last maybe, I don't know, 5 years has been probably one of the easiest professions to get into. So many people have college degrees, haven't found a job in their field, they become a realtor. And then you get misconstrued with the perception that realtors make a whole lot of money. You know what I mean? And especially with social media being the way it is. I had an agent, a newer agent asked me, I want to sell $1 million houses. Okay, well, do you know a millionaire? Because you're going to sell to your sphere. Your sphere of influence is what happens. Me, they call me neighborhood Tiff, and I'm okay with it because I sell to my people in the neighborhoods and in the circles that I frequent the most. So becoming a $1 million agent is not something that you just step into. That's something that you have to create that lane for yourself. And it's not an easy lane because when you're dealing with millionaires and people of higher caliber, they know 10 agents, so why they wouldn't use you? So those are the things that you have to keep in mind. It's not about what you see on TV. TV is that reality TV got us all screwed up. Because it's nothing like that when you, especially in a town like Baltimore. This ain't Atlanta. We don't got celebrities and ball players and stuff like that. We're selling to people that we know. And they're at lower price points. And I can speak on different organizations that people like myself, Will, Eric, all of us, we had to fight, well, not so much as fight to get into, but they weren't recognizing us. Yeah, okay. We had to fight to get into those organizations because they were more so looking at that volume as opposed to units. Myself, if I sold 78 houses last year, and my volume is what, 12 million, but somebody else sold 4 houses and their volume is 20 million, they're gonna pick those people and not us. So we had to fight to get into those organizations. Everything is not like given or just easy as it looks. All of this stuff is a fight. And it's been a fight for me since I've been licensed. And even being a black female in REO, that's a fight with white male agents who dominate that industry. So being in REO has always been a fight for me. Well, people like ourselves, because we're not the main people in it.
And I remember when I first got started, but I think that for a new agent or any agent, to answer the question, it's very important to be realistic with expectations, and like goal setting and like really aligning, the truth, like, because like I was saying earlier, like a lot of agents that you're looking at as mentor, they paint like these false narratives or false pictures of what you're about to do. And I think that I fall short because, I'm honest, I'd say in a second, like, that's not gonna work. But it kind of sounds crazy, but like Tiff, like we literally had to fight. Like I was on boards and organizations and I'm sitting in the room with agents that do way more than me. And the conversation goes to how do we include or how do we, diversify what we're seeing, or how do we, educate the less fortunate, let's call it, whatever you want to call it, like new agents coming up, whatever. And the conversation is really around like, dollar value in sales. But if you don't understand, what somebody's, situation is or what their business looks like, how can you, have levels of accolades that you're not really including everyone? And literally the response was, are we talking about race? Like literally. And it's just like, it's very important like who you're choosing to affiliate with for us in here. Like if you want to be successful, like it was a grind in here, like from $40 BPOs to doing the type of business that I've been able to do. It's been a grind, and actually being black, like I'm a ghost. Like a lot of people know that I don't really come out, but like when they see my face, they like, are you serious? Like, I mean, dead serious, because the industry was like dominated by people that didn't look like me for years, and I stayed below the radar, and I knew how to talk, and I knew the business, and I knew how to pull comps, and I knew all those things, and I was coming through with accounts, and they're like, well, how did you get that? And it was just like one of those things. So if anything, I would just say like realistic expectations, because if you're able to have realistic expectations, then you can kind of set in your mind that you won't give up because your goals was always realistic, and you won't fall to the money aspect of it when it doesn't happen. And if you keep going because your goals were realistic, you'll be able to persevere and hit those later on down the road.
If you're in real estate for the money, leave now. This is a business where you have to be passionate and love what you do. So much is so, sometimes we lose money on these deals, but at the end of the day, it's the experience you gain. So when you do a bad deal, you learn from that deal never to do that again. So basically, if your goal is to make money in this business, then that's not the right mindset coming into it. Of course you want to make money, but there are going to be times when you're going to lose money in this business, but you have to just stay the course.
And real quick, to add on to his question, I can't talk enough about having a plan. You get your license, it's expensive to get started. So you know how you have to have capital to open a business? You're opening a business. You have to have capital. It's not cheap. And if you come in not prepared for that, you'll be looking for a job that works 9 to 5 and you won't be able to build your business.
So last question, and then we'll let you all say one final thing. From the forum, how do you navigate the stress of this industry? Just a couple of blanks. The legal options, please.
There's a lot of sleepless nights. You're on the phone all the time, but you have to have that balance. You just have to, address things immediately and just, I'm a true believer everything's going to work out. And, always have a glass of wine.
I just recently had an agent say, is this why realtors are always at happy hour?
Yeah, I believe you have to have some me time. If it's getting a massage every week or twice a week, taking your trip, the girl's trip, the guy's trip, doing whatever it is that you like to do, because your phone is going to continue to ring. Tip said, listen, it's not about the money. Listen, I know it says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world, lose your soul? But listen, you gotta have some money. You can't, listen, you can't do anything without no money. So, man, see, we get it mixed up about for the love of money. You can't worship it, but go get the money.
I have not mastered the stress part. But what I will say is, you got to take your time with your family when you can. But I will say, let's be honest, we got to be good. I will tell you, as a lender, you're not giving as much grace. You got to be good all the time. And you got to make sure that you show up all the time. And you got to close on time. So, for me, I just try to take the time when I can, start working out a little bit, so that's helping. But, you got to just take it one day at a time and just stay positive as much as possible.
For me, I know this probably will sound cliche, but I really don't stress too much. Just being honest, because I'm that kind of person that's just thankful all the time. I try to count my blessings. I kind of reflect. I know they say you should look in the past, but I kind of look where I was to where I'm at now. So that's kind of always that, you know what, it could always be worse. Just keep pushing. So I know I know when things come up and the problems that come up and the issues come up, we all have them, right? But again, I just say you got to put yourself around those kind of people. You surround yourself around good people like this. You communicate. My dreams is big. I've always been that kid. That's who I am. I mean, I try not to do nothing on a small scale. That's just the way my mind operates. I say this all the time. Some people's dreams ain't big enough. That's why you ain't where you're supposed to be. You ain't dreaming big enough. Your dreams are too small. Yeah, you have to. So when you constantly thinking like that, when you constantly pushing yourself to try to get to the next level, I'm not saying it's perfect, but when you're constantly trying to push yourself to the level, when things arise, when that stress come and that headache come, you got to remember the goal to hit. Remember when I first started this today, the first thing I said is you can't quit. You got to keep pushing. It's the same way. So when that stress come and the storm, whatever it may be, we all about to be somewhat stressful. Maybe. And remember, 2019, March 2020, when this so-called virus thing popped up, we was all about to get stressful for a minute. because we didn't know what the hell was coming. Call it a storm or whatever you want to call it. We all thought this was what it was coming to. But whatever it was, it did the opposite. So that's a whole nother conversation. Like, we sit there talking about what the market could be. We fearing something that we don't even know that could possibly come. Them rates might drop down to 5% at the top of the year, and we all back to la-la land again. You know, so for me, I get it. I'm not trying to act like I'm this human person, but I do. When things come up like that, I just kind of remind myself of, you know, where it could be worse. Or I look at other people's situations. I look at my kids. I look at my family, and I'm like, could be worse.
So he said dream big. All the TikTokers and the Reels person had one audio in their head, right? You think it's small, dream big, bitch. It's a TikTok audio and the Reel that goes on out there. Like, no, you think it's small, dream big, think dream big, bitch.
So let me say this, and this is real important. On November the 6th, 2021, y'all want me to get emotional, I woke up with my left side of my face on the right side of my face. That taught me a lot about stress, and that I needed to get my stress in order. I woke up with Bell's palsy that I've been fighting with for the last year. And the doctors tested me for every single thing they could think of. And it related back to stress. I didn't know I was stressed, but basically I would answer my phone at 10, 11 o'clock at night for investors. I keep going, I'm up all day with the computer, pulling comps, doing this, doing that. And that day made me realize that your health is more important than anything. And if it's not physical health, it's mental health, because all of it relates together. And this business, you will be dead and gone, and somebody else is popular now. So they'll mourn you for a minute on TikTok or all that other stuff. But when it's over for you, it's over. And me being the breadwinner in my family, my first thought was, so if something happened to me, then what's going to happen to them? And that situation, was, I do believe, was God's way of sitting me down for a minute and making me reevaluate my whole life, because it could have been worse. It's a small thing, and you eventually recover from it. But just going through that the whole time and trying to get it back in order, and looking at people like, oh my God, they will look at my face and think something's wrong with me. Just thinking about all of those things made it even more stressful. But just to put into perspective that this happened to you because of stress, and the only stress that I can think of is my career. So put your family first, your health first, your mental health first, because this I'm sorry, I curse y'all. This shit gonna be here, but you won't. You know what I mean? So you definitely have to put yourself first.
All right, let's give it up for our panelists. We have one special guest before we open for networking and drinking and eating and being merry. Mr. Phillips, would you come forward?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I didn't realize I was the one special guest. It's kind of nice. Because after this panel, can we give everybody a round of applause? I think I've been at this longer than most of the folks in the room, really. So when I have to say, and put events like this on, this panel gave you all real talk. And you don't always get that, right? Sometimes we can try to just tell you the good, but you got a little bad. My name is Scott Phillips, and thank you for inviting me and having me attend. I think the reason was because I'm actually running for office. And I'm running for the House of Delegates in the 10th Legislative District, which is Randallstown, Reisterstown, parts of Owens Mills, all the way down to Halethorpe. But based on this conversation, I want to kind of address something a little different, which is the intersection of politics and business. And so I heard a lot this evening, and I didn't hear a lot about kind of where that is played in your lives. But they talked about one thing already, which is the change in the contract starting October the 1st. Why did that happen? Because of things that happened in Annapolis, right? So it matters. And that's why I'm here with you all, because you have to speak to people like me so we know how to best serve you. I get up every day and you have to figure out your why. Is your why to make a bunch of money? Is that why you're in real estate or involved in this? Is your why to help people, to grow their families, to have a roof over their head? What is your why? I decided to do this because I really do understand my why. I get up every day with the idea of how do I help to improve the lives of the people that I come in contact with every single day, right? From the tactical to the long-term strategic. How do I have an impact on people's lives every single day? So in my day-to-day life, I'm an attorney, I'm a business advisor, right? I run a program here called the Minority Business Development Agency's Advanced Manufacturing Center, and I run a law firm. And in both of those, my whole objective is when people come to see me, how do I assist them? Most of the time, it's on improving their business and growing their business or improving their communities. I work a lot with faith-based organizations. So on the real estate side, if you think about some of the projects, working on a project at Garrison and Liberty as we speak, the old firehouse, did the senior housing development on Garrison Boulevard, working on a senior housing and medical facility at East Patapsco over near the courthouse over that way, working a lot with churches and faith-based and community groups doing that work. I've had the opportunity to do some work with Wayne over here, just working with individuals who are just trying to buy a house and they're having some kind of a problem or a state issue, etc. So I know this industry, I know where you are, but I also know that if it's just, like you said, if it's just about making money, then I don't know that you're going to be truly happy, right? Everybody's looking at the blame. If there's not something that you're contributing back, that's my philosophy, right? I'm not telling everybody how to live. If there's not something that you're contributing back to the people that you come in contact with every day, if it's all about just what you're putting in your pocket, then in my estimation, you're not going to receive the success that you could. What is your motivation? What is your why? I want to thank you all. If you come in contact with anybody that lives in those communities, remind them on November the 8th they need to get out and vote. And whether they vote for me or not, they vote for someone. I will also say this. In Maryland, we have an opportunity, a start opportunity in Maryland. So while I'm trying to get elected, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm out every day also trying to get Westmore elected. Right? I don't know how you all feel. I'm just telling you, that's where I am. Third African American to become a governor of any state in this United States. That opportunity is real, but it won't be real if we don't come out and vote. Now, I don't know if there's opportunity to answer any questions, if anybody has any questions, but I just thank you. I want to thank the organizers for meeting me at the table. I'm looking at this crowd. This is beautiful, right?
You can fix some of them squatter law.
So that's real. So I need recommendations on how to address that, right?
Get them out.
Right? So they're real issues. They're real issues. We got vacant housing issues. So I do want to say this, and this is some things that you all should think about: the intersection of politics and real estate. Bias and appraisals, right? Many of you probably saw the article about the young man at Johns Hopkins and his wife. Bias and appraisals. Well, how do we address that? So they're talking about training for appraisals, but that's not enough. One of the things I know is we don't have enough black, I'm not saying minority, we don't have enough black appraisals.
That's the truth.
We got to fix that, right? We have redlining that still exists, right? We got to fix that. We got to figure that one out. And those are things that I want to work on. But once again, I don't have all the expertise. You all are in this thing every single day, whether it's squatters, whether it's the bias and appraisals. You need to be telling people like me, how do we address it? Making those recommendations so we can do a better job. And I look at that. So bias and appraisals, we've got the squatter thing, we've got vacant housing.
I'm sorry not to cut you off.
Sure.
Minorities like us getting access not only to capital, but to the dirt that's available, to the resources, to the collateral that's available in Baltimore. And they allow outside developers come in, and they don't give us the opportunity to get the FRPs, to get access to those development deals so we can kind of build this whole circle of wealth. And that's why we get to. So I just think it's important that the city, and you're part of this, give us back, especially people that had equity, especially people that are seasoned and qualified investors, why don't we have access to those deals?
And some of that is about knowledge. Because often we don't know what the deals are that are on the table until they're already divvied up. So we got to understand that, and we have to do a better job of making sure that our community is informed. Whether it's what's happening in Park Heights, or quite frankly, how many of you know that Baltimore County has now created and it's very new, the Randallstown Development Organization, right? It's new, it was legislated, right? You familiar with that? That's going to have a significant impact on monies coming into that corridor, both from a commercial and residential perspective. But if you don't know that, then you can't take advantage of it. So we'll continue to put that information out. Once again, my name is Scott Phillips. If you have questions at any point in time, we got some information on the back there on how to reach me. But I'm looking for you. As an elected official, we can't be good at our jobs if we don't hear from our constituents. So please, don't hesitate, reach out. I've got Trent Williams in the back, my treasurer, but also a good friend who will make sure I get everybody's information if you need. Thank you once again for this moment. I really appreciate it.
Mr. You
We need to be kicking the pig.
All right, yeah, thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for tuning, for coming and listening to these dynamic panels. One more time, can we give them a quick round of applause? We're creating this series for us. So we'll be doing this again soon with another slate of agents who are successful in this industry. So we hope that you register this time. For those of you who did not register that are here, but we're so happy you're here. And register in advance. Don't open it and close it out and think it's going to be there later because it does sell out fast. And if you're a lender here, agent here, please connect with us because we want to get as many agents and lenders that look like us up here in front of us and sharing their stories and sharing their insight on this industry and how they are becoming and being successful. We do have food. We can't gather and not eat, right? We can't gather and not eat. And we also have drink. So please stay, please network, please meet somebody, please make relationships, and meet these panelists here.